Welcome to Creature Car Live. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ethan. We're going to get into some prehistoric to current animal news from around the world and get into some interesting animal videos as well. So, starting off with the independent.co.uk. Gray wolf spotted in Los Angeles for the first time in over 100 years. This is really good to hear. However, I'm quite concerned because there aren't really any other wolves around. The problem is the only one nearby, which is I wonder, just what I think he came from. I forgot the name of the pack, but it's still towards like central California, so adjacent to the Sequoia National Forest, I believe. And then there isn't another wolf pack until you reach Northern California. So there isn't any available genetics for this wolf. But another problem is probably prey in the region, since California's had a bit of low deer stock in recent years. So the wolf was born in 2023 and has traveled hundreds of miles in search of a partner, according to a report. So let's take a deeper look. So the wolf. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's too bad it's a blurry picture, but it's probably from some trail camera up in. Well, we don't know where exactly. Maybe it's in the Angeles National Forest, adjacent to California, adjacent to Los Angeles. So just simply spotted in the county. So the 3-year-old female wolf, known as BEY03F, was spotted in the mountains north of Santa Clarita around 6 a.m. Saturday. Axel Honeycutt, the gray wolf coordinator for the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, told the Los Angeles Times 4 hours earlier, the same wolf was spotted in the desert south of Kern County. Officials were able to track BEY03F using a GPS collar that she was fitted with last May. So interesting. So it is a collared wolf, and apparently it was in. Okay, so desert south of Kern County. I'm not exactly sure where Kern County is. Hmm.
You want me to look it up?
Guessing it can't be too far away. Sure. Has to be adjacent to Los Angeles County. I mean, you can have it where a wolf will move or a pack, somewhere between 30 to 50 miles in a day. It's
Where's
not
it?
very common, but it can
Where's it
occur.
at?
Southern California,
No, no. Where's it say current county?
Kern County.
Oh, Kern.
Do you think I said current? Oh. Let's see. So the wolf is seeking a partner, and the fact that she is still on the move is an indication that she has not found a mate in suitable habitat. I wonder where specifically they fitted her with a collar back in May. Oh, so it's just, oh, that's a huge county. Well, I mean, no, I mean, that's not a small county.
No, that is not small.
Um, Interesting. 4 hours earlier, she was over there. That was quite quick. And she made it past a variety of roads. So, yeah, quite a bit of this area over in California is very arid. So, let's see. Let's head back. Is that it? Well, that's a picture from back in 2017. Let's see. I don't know what specific pack that is. Wolf was born in 2023 in Pluma County's Bayam Sao pack. I've got a feeling this is the pack of wolves that has been killing off livestock recently and has since traveled over 370 miles south. Wow. I think she's just exploring the state. John Markwick, a writer for the nonprofit California Wolf Watch, told the Times the sighting was a historic moment in the return of wolves to California. Yeah, it sure is. I mean, this is pretty exciting to see, but I'm still quite concerned about her getting ran over or possibly running into certain feral dogs. It's a big concern, as well as like getting enough food to eat and finding a mate. She's not going to find a mate most likely in this area, unless some Mexican wolf or a member of the Mexican wolf subspecies from Arizona or New Mexico happens to come over, but that's pretty unlikely. Didn't used to be. Markwick credited the return to the State Department of Fish and Wildlife's monitoring efforts and the animals protection under the State Endangered Species Act. California's wolf population was wiped out by hunters and trappers about a century ago, but returned in 2011 when a wolf ventured over the border from Oregon. Yeah, it was quite amazing how rapidly they started expanding over in Northern California, especially. Officials believe there are at least 60 wolves in California today. As of Sunday, BEY03F was believed to be in the San Gabriel Mountains, where no established wolf packs are known to live, but she could meet one in the Tehachapi Mountains and form a pack. I got a feeling it's still a bit of a ways from there. Anything else? Oh, she could also continue moving north along the Sierra Nevada and potentially travel hundreds of miles longer before finding a mate. Yeah, the Sierra Nevada is massive over in Eastern California. So she's likely not going to find one over in Nevada. It's possible she moves over into Arizona. That is, if she um, finds one of the Mexican wolves appealing. I'm say that because they're quite inbred in the region. But
Do wolves actually know that?
it's very possible. You have had instances where one with a lot more genetic variety has bred with ones with less genetic diversity inside their DNA. But it's a big question. She even runs into one, so we have no idea where this individual is going. The one thing that we do know is the more that she moves, the more that she has to encounter human infrastructure, and particularly highways. If she decides to venture into a heavily dense area, which I've got a feeling since she's a wolf, she's probably going to avoid. That tends to be more of a cougar or a coyote or bobcat thing, not so much a wolf. Sometimes even brown bears to an extent, but that's more of over in Alaska, and you're talking about certain suburbs of Anchorage. But maybe that's not the best to compare, considering Anchorage like the size of a suburb over in Los Angeles. And we know that in California, the highest known cause of mortality for wolves is vehicle strikes. Yeah, definitely. I think I was thinking maybe elsewhere, and it could be a certain disease. But yeah, this is pretty cool to see. Let's head over to the first video. Okay, so we've got one of these Cape Buffalo white rhino conflicts. These actually happen. I wouldn't say a lot, but they're not necessarily uncommon.
I wouldn't want those horns near my eyes.
Yeah, I've always been concerned about the rhinos when they get this close to Cape Buffalo, but they tend to just shove them off because they weigh a couple tons more in some instances.
And there it goes.
Cape buffaloes don't usually reach much more than what, 2,300 pounds. They get slightly larger, but it's funny just watching the white rhino just push it over.
And then
Technically,
there's a bystander. Hold up.
oh yeah, the female, that's funny.
She's like, "What are you doing again?"
Or she's cheering him, but probably not considering the white rhino is just throwing him around. Yeah, okay, definitely not cheering him now. Okay, so from the vintagenews.com, exceptionally rare dinosaur fossil found in Maryland. So we've got a picture of an Acrocanthosaurus skeleton in front of us. This is a species of theropod dinosaur that inhabited different parts of the eastern central United States around 110 million years ago during the early Cretaceous period. Probably reached actually. Could you look up a Acrocanthosaurus? So this animal could reach somewhere around 36 to right. Uh Acrocantho.
Got it.
Okay, so okay. So it could reach somewhere around 36 to 40 feet in length. They're pushing between 11 to 12 meters and probably weigh somewhere around 7 to um maybe 9 tons. 9 tons would be a large Acrocanthosaurus individual. I don't think that's a drawing. Possibly
Almost
though.
wondering if that's CGI.
Yeah, well,
I mean, AI.
yeah, I think it is. No, I mean, it's not a terrible, one compared to other depictions it's created, but, yeah, this animal probably would have fed on certain sauropod individuals in the areas that it inhabited. So we're talking about different species of long necked dinosaurs. Gotta be honest, the other one was better, but yeah, this individual is extremely almost it's almost like somebody took an iguana and tried to convert him into an acrocanthosaurus. The legs are extremely like stocky, extremely small. Well, mainly the thigh, a bit too wrinkly. There's barely a calf. Very small ankle and tiny feet.
Yeah, those feet are
Now, I will say that the arms of Acrocanthosaurus weren't necessarily huge compared to, well, large compared to their body size, but um, I still think it should be a bit better, just muscle proportion. It's almost like an iguana sort of look.
but
And Acrocanthosaurus, dinosaurs in general, were quite distinct from the um, reptiliae lineage. Even though their ancestors did evolve from reptiles, they became their own group of warm-blooded animals.
at least it has bigger feet.
Yeah, it's a lot of what's with all the chubby acrocanthosaurs everywhere.
Oh, but this is a watercolor.
No, I know, but if you're looking at like this specific like fatty neck structure, it looks like he's been feeding on fat Sauroposeidon, which is a long necked dinosaur that coexisted with Acrocanthosaurus. We're talking about an animal distantly related to the Brachiosaurus. That was Brachiosaurus lived in the Jurassic around 150 million years ago. Sauroposeidon could probably reach somewhere around 75 feet in length. They're pushing over what's 20, maybe 20 meters or so. So let's see. Yeah, when it comes to Acranthosaurus, I mean the arms are a bit better here. I think they maybe should be a bit more muscled, especially around the forearms. However, they're a bit too curved. Yes, Acrocanthosaur is related to Acrocanthosaurus is related to Allosaurus, which also lived back in the Jurassic, but it didn't have as curved of claws. Also, the tail's quite off. It's a bit of a question as to whether or not Acrocanthosaurus would have had osteoderms along its back. Actually, could we look up also a Sauroposeidon? That's
That
better. Yeah, this one I like his overall musculature. Probably we could add a bit more though to his neck. There is a bit of a problem. This Acrocanthosaurus, I mean, it's still good drawing, but it has a bit too much of a Torvosaurus sort of a look, especially on the skull, and a bit of more muscle on the neck. The tail, though, it's hard to say.
spell sore Poseidon.
Oh, Sauropos. Um, this, wait, Sora, did it show up? Okay, I'm trying to get Poseidon. Now I do like how this drawing shows an elongated back vertebrae, well, which Acrocanthosaurus did have, and even up into its neck a bit, its tail. That's good to see. I like the muscle proportions of the legs. Now the toes, maybe it's just because he's has one slightly up in the air, but no, they look good. Side, I guess this is an older depiction somewhat, but yeah, it would have a very brachiosaur like structure because it is a member of the brachiosaur lineage, along with Giraffatitan. But Giraffatitan existed over in Tanzania, Africa, around 149 million years ago. So around the same time as Brachiosaurus. This is definitely a much more slender version. It's possible though that the neck might have had more muscle on it, especially when referring to possibly males of the lineage. His legs are a little too skinny. I mean, I don't mind the overall
Is that better?
look. Oh, yeah, this one. Technically, no.
Hold on.
Also, there doesn't seem to be any evidence for even Sauroposeidon having osteoderms along its back. That seems to be more of a diplodocid trait. So that's another group of long-necked sauropods from the Jurassic and the Cretaceous periods. I'd say the musculature on this individual is a bit better. Seems to be a bit more evenly proportioned along both its four legs and its hind legs. Its
Kind of
neck,
blurry, isn't he?
yeah, its neck seems a bit better.
Okay, try this.
Tail's a bit skinny though. I think that's just another picture of the others. The picture beforehand, just a different lighting. You can see the patterns a little more. Too skinny of a leg structure, and also the osteoderms on the back. The skull, though, is okay, I would say, for something like a Sora Poseidon. Oh, and this animal could probably weigh somewhere between 35 to 50 tons. So it was a larger species of sauropod. I would say, though, that the brachiosaurs didn't necessarily, they weren't the group of dinosaurs or sauropods specifically that reached the immense sizes of the titanosaurs,
Okay, one last shot.
which could reach well over 50 tons. They reach much longer lengths, too. They're definitely not offering a lot of great Poseidons. However,
Is this a video game?
I have no idea. I will say the Acrocanthosaurs are uh, the skull structure is a bit better than what I've been seeing on certain other depictions, but I don't know. I might be giving this guy a little too much credit. Ah, he's definitely wouldn't. I haven't seen many portrayals of Acrocanthosaurus, so the predator on the side, showing vertebrae sticking or without being concealed in tissue. This is quite concerning. Um, Maybe it's supposed to be those small osteoderms, but that would also literally be back vertebrae. Ooh, okay. Wow. This is pretty good. I haven't seen this kind before. They gave these sort Poseidons extremely long necks compared to their body size and tiny bodies. Not too muscular of legs, but I do notice that they gave them very short hind legs compared to their forelegs, which is a brachiosaur trait. But I'm not sure if it's very prevalent in Sauroposeidon. We've only found a handful of Sauroposeidon fossils, and not even complete skeletons. It's just fragmentary bones for the few specimens that have been discovered. I'm not sure if we've even found the skull of a Sauroposeidon, but this would have been back in the early Cretaceous. I would say, though, that the trees would be much taller compared to these animals. For some reason, there are many depictions where these sauropods are roaming through forests that are shorter than them, or maybe the same height. Or you can see here where the trees are slightly taller. Guessing it's supposed to be a male and a female. And the truth is, you would have had it where trees were easily exceeding over 200 feet in height, or pushing. Um, what would that be? Somewhere around 40 to 50 meters. Okay. Well, head over to the next article, or finish this article. Chubby. They're all chubby. Okay, that one actually looks a little more slender. Okay, a group of paleontologists and volunteers discovered several rare fossils along with the largest theropod fossil ever found in eastern North America. The find was made at Dinosaur Park, Maryland in April 2023. The site has seen the discovery of amazing fossils since the 19th century or the 1800s. But this recent find was described by Matthew Carano, a paleontologist at the Smithsonian, as exceptionally rare. At Dinosaur Park in Prince George's.
Oh, we froze. Hold on. Okay, it's back up.
Okay. So everything's you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Or
you.
or I'm moving. Let's see. At Dinosaur Park in Prince George's County, Maryland, paleontologists and volunteers discovered a 3-foot long fossil, or about a meter. This fossil was found at what had been classified as a bone bed, a term used by paleontologists to describe a layer with contents that date to the same geologic period. The bone bed discovered was the first found in Maryland since 1887. Whoa, geesh, that's been a long time. I didn't realize that about Maryland. Also, probably because I rarely look into that state when it comes to specifically Mesozoic fossils. JP Hodnett, the program coordinator and paleontologist at Dinosaur Park, Finding what's also interesting about this is some people might confuse this place called Dinosaur Park with Dinosaur Provincial Park over in Alberta, Canada, which hosts quite a variety of different species of late Cretaceous dinosaurs, different species of horned dinosaurs related to the Triceratops, but earlier relatives, even earlier species of tyrannosaurs as well as hadrosaurs. The long necked sauropods are a bit rare in the region. So let's see. Finding a bone bed like this is a dream for many paleontologists. They can offer a wealth of information on the ancient environments that preserve the fossils and provide more details on the extinct animals that previously may have only been known from a handful of specimens. Well, the question is, how complete were the fossils they discovered? Well, they found something. Those are immense specimens. So, workers at the bone bed where the Acrocanthosaurus fossil was found. Wow. Whoa. If this is specifically an Acrocanthosaurus, this is really good to see. So, it looks like we found certain leg bones and maybe other creatures in the area too. Looks like they're mentioning a certain species of turtle, crocodilomorph, an ankylosaur, probably a relative of Sauropelta, possibly, which was a member of the Nodosaur. Forgot to mention ankylosaurs also came from Canada, but now referring to Maryland. None of these animals are common to find over in the eastern United States. Just dinosaurs in general. Possibly a sauropodine that they're showing, maybe an astrodon, which is another species of dinosaur, not a baseball mascot. So Hodnett concluded most paleontologists have to travel across the country or go overseas to find something like this. So having this rare find so close to home is fantastic. Um, yeah, it's probably depends on where you are in the country. If you're over in Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, certain parts of Texas, then um you don't have to travel as far. But let's see. What was discovered was a 3 foot long shin bone, which is believed to have belonged to a theropod. A theropod is carnivorous bipedal, which means it walks on two legs,
No, no, he's by people.
right? Oh no! Don't turn into a mammal. Saurischian dinosaur. So what it means by that is the theropods are or they belong to one of two major lineages of dinosaur. That is the Saurischians and not the Ornithischians. The Ornithischians are the lineage of dinosaurs that would consist of animals such as the horned dinosaurs, such as the ceratopsians, the ankylosaurs, the hadrosaurs, or the ornithopods, such as iguanodon, and believe there's another group, just not hitting me at the moment. Saurischians would consist of animals like T Rex, Brachiosaurus, and animals such as Velociraptor. Let's see. So, which is characterized by hollow and thin walled bones. I will say, though, despite, this is true, but even when you're looking at the much smaller dinosaurs, different species of ornithopods, or even different species of dromaeosaurs, but specifically focusing on the saurischians. So dromaeosaurs, ornithopods are ornithischians. Despite being hollow boned, they were quite robust. Even if you look at different species of birds today, they have very robust bones despite them being hollow and lightweight. It would have been the same thing for the dinosaurs' closest relatives, the flying pterosaurs. They all had hollow bones, but they were still quite robust. These dinosaurs had shorter forelimbs and with three clawed digits. If you're referring to, um, yeah, most theropods. If you're looking at certain species of therizinosaurs, not so much. Even certain earlier, maybe Triassic theropod dinosaurs, so somewhere between 235 to 202 million years ago, and as well, later members of the Coelurosaur lineage of dinosaurs, such as the Megaraptors, had quite long arms, even Spinosaurs to an extent, such as Spinosaurus. The fossil is believed to be from an Acrocanthosaurus, the largest theropod of the early Cretaceous period. Thomas Holtz. Oh, okay, so here's a more famous paleontologist. He showed up on documentaries like Jurassic Fight Club, Clash of the Dinosaurs. So, a paleontologist at the University of Maryland The dinosaur site at Laurel is by far the most important dinosaur dig site in America east of the Mississippi. It gives us insights into the diversity of animals and plants at a critical period in Earth's history. Acrocanthosaurus is a genus of theropod that lived during the early Cretaceous period, approximately 113 to 110 million years ago. We also have footprints of Acrocanthosaurus over in somewhat north central Texas, just south of the Dallas Fort Worth area, also adjacent to sauropod tracks as well. I believe it's at the Dinosaur Valley State Park. It was a large carnivorous dinosaur that belonged to the family Carcharodontosauridae. And that is true. So it is closely related to different species of Carcharodontosaur, which includes other notable predators like Tyrannotitan, which some might mistake or get confused with Tyrannosaurus. These are not the same animals. Tyrannotitan belongs to a completely different lineage of carnivores or carnivorous theropods as opposed to the tyrannosaurs. So tyrannosaurs are members of the Coelurosaur lineage, whereas Carcharodontosaurs are a member of the Carnosaur lineage of dinosaurs. And same thing for Giganotosaurus. Acrocanthosaurus was named for the distinctive high spines running along its back, which gave it a unique appearance. Yeah, this is not common to see or it's quite rare in outside of the Spinosaur lineage, and you could say even certain members of the um, Metracanthosaur lineage of dinosaurs, which were also theropods. Carcharodontosaurus itself, this is one of the only members to have this. Let's see. These spines, coupled with its robust build and powerful jaws, I mean, you could say to most land predators, yes, because of its size, but it still didn't have really a very large bite force. When you look at the skull structure of Acrocanthosaurus, at least compared to different species of tyrannosaurs, even different species of abelisaurs, they had quite a thin and narrow jaw, but they were still very capable of um, tearing off quite large chunks of flesh. So let's see. Just it would be best if they didn't come into contact with the larger bones of the dinosaurs that they were feeding on, especially the sauropods. Now, you could say this might be a bit off, and I might be portraying this animal as a bit too delicate because it does look like even other earlier relatives of Acrocanthosaurus, such as the Allosaurus, it does look like there are bite marks on certain species of sauropods from different fossil formations that indicate that even Allosaurus, which had a bite force barely as much as a lion, so we're talking about maybe around somewhere around 1,100 pounds per square inch. That
Right.
might be.
Does that mean that the reason their teeth being that sharp is what made their lower bite force better? Why not better, but
Well,
it's
it
why
compensated
that's what I
for,
meant.
yeah, their, lower bite force. You could say somewhat like saber-toothed cats, but it's probably not the best comparison because they had a very low bite force, specifically relying on those canines. But, Acrocanthosaurus, it was very much capable of biting a person in half. So let's see. Um, it measured around 36 to 38 feet in length and weighed an estimate of 4.4 to 6.6 tons. It could be a bit larger. Even the 6.6 seems a bit small. So, but looking at this depiction, I've seen this drawing. I mean, it's not bad. I do like the overall coloration. It's almost like they're giving the animal feathers. Larger theropods for many. We don't have evidence of these different species of theropods having feathers, but it is certainly possible they might have had a few when they were fully grown. It's very likely with their chicks might have been covered in feathers. But the arms of this individual also, I think they're oddly splayed. I think they should be splayed out in front of them. But it is good that they're facing each other, at least by the standpoint of his left arm. Still far too skinny. I do like the skull structure, though. It is interesting that they're not showing it with lips. Um, there's still it. There has been debate amongst certain paleontologists or other paleontologists that it's possible that theropods wouldn't have. But if you're looking at certain other creatures, especially um, crocodiles, alligators, They because of their odd and, um, unaligned jaw structure, that makes sense as to why they don't have lips. But then when you look at certain other species that have teeth that align well with each other, they tend to have lips. Specifically, also when you're looking at different species of not just reptiles, but even mammals. So, um, let's see. Oh, also, I think the tail's a bit too skinny. I think there should be a lot more flesh on that. And the legs, it's like an immense thigh, but still not a lot of muscle. It's just wide. Somebody took the muscles and stretched them out. And the shin bones are quite, or even like the tibia area, um, very like small musculature over there, very skinny ankles and small feet. So one of the most respectable aspects of Acrocanthosaurus is its skull, which was long, narrow. Oh, well, he even mentions it, and filled with sharp, serrated teeth. These teeth were well suited for gripping and tearing flesh, indicating that it was an efficient hunter. Additionally, its forelimbs were relatively short compared to its hind limbs, suggesting that Acrocanthosaurus was likely a bipedal dinosaur. Likely, that's official. Um, let's see. What was another thing? Its teeth. Yeah, when it comes to especially members of the Carcharodontosaur lineage of predatory dinosaurs, and you look at the grooves or the serrated edges of their teeth, it's almost like a shark, which is also why um, animals or this lineage of theropod dinosaurs is given that name, Carcharodon, which is the genus name for the great white shark. So, um, these specific dinosaurs or theropods had some of the sharpest teeth of any group of dinosaurs, predatory dinosaurs to exist. Though you have it where animals such as Ceratosaurus would want a word. They have very sharp teeth as well, but they lived much earlier in time, back in the Jurassic. Let's see. Other fossils of Acanthosaurus have been discovered in what is now North America, primarily in the United States. The first remains of this dinosaur were found in 1940 in Oklahoma, and subsequent discoveries have helped paleontologists gain a better understanding of its anatomy and behavior. Due to the incomplete nature of the fossil record, some aspects of Acrocanthosaurus's life remain uncertain. However, based on its physical characteristics, scientists believe that it was an apex predator that likely preyed upon large herbivorous dinosaurs such as sauropods and ornithopods. Yeah, Acrocanthosaurus is probably the top predator in the ecosystems that it inhabited. So far, it doesn't really look like it had much competition with other carnivores in the region. Though, usually every single ecosystem has two carnivores competing with each other to some extent. So let's see. Is there anything else? I think that's it. Okay, well, that's really fascinating to see. So we now have Acrocanthosaurus coming out of Maryland. I say when it comes to most things, when it comes to the state of Maryland, it's quite empty. I mean, when it comes to current animals, you have what, at least uh, 3 to 5,000 black bears in the area, some white-tailed deer, but when it comes to prehistory, almost nothing, and then this pops up, so that's good to hear. Maryland's had a huge boost. In fact, bigger boost than I'd say most of the eastern United States and even certain parts of Texas. So it's really good to see. Let's see what's going on over here in Kenya. So this is in southern Kenya, over the Masai Mara. This is part of the area where the wildebeest migrate during um, July, August, maybe even September, certain points. Oh, well, these giraffes seem to be just toughing out the rain.
I know that's what it looks like. They're
There's a
like,
lot of wind going on. I haven't seen this before. Usually you see rain hitting the Masai Mara, at least um, what I've seen occur during the wet season. It seems quite mild. It seems to be just the lions that are having a hard time. They're just sitting in the rain. But wow, even the giraffes are having to tough it out. It's quite something.
yeah, they even look like it. They're just like, oh,
By the way, many tend to associate giraffes as being quite um, silent animals, which is true to an extent. They do have the ability to roar, and it's literally like um, I'd say it's like a different version of like a leopard growling, and maybe even a lion making a territorial roar is what it sounds like. And
Oh,
that's coming
really?
from also,
I
oh
didn't know
yeah,
that.
um, that's also coming from a female giraffe as well, not even a male. So let's see. Heading on to the next article from econews.com.au. So I believe it's coming over from Australia. Australia's little betongs put on dramatic nutcracker performance. So these are members of the macropod lineage of marsupials. So this animal is a close relative of the kangaroos, wallabies, much more distantly related to animals such as wombats and koalas. They are also close relatives of the potteroo, which feeds on many species of truffles. So let's head down. Some cases, these animals might only weigh maybe a couple of pounds or around a kilogram. Native Australian animals range from high hopping kangaroos to fast running emus, but clever little betongs also have a special ability to find and eat the food they love. Flinders University researchers have discovered the secrets behind a superpower of these tiny relatives of kangaroos, which allows them to crack open seeds that would break the jaws of most animals. They hope whatever type of a nut they're munching on. But there's a lot of hard species of nuts or plants that have a very protective coating over their main seeds or where the plant would germinate. They hope the research will help conservation efforts, including finding suitable locations to reintroduce populations severely impacted by predation and habitat loss. Predation's also probably not even coming from the dingo a lot of the time. It seems to be at least I'm guessing where the small populations of certain endangered marsupials are. Seems to be coming from feral foxes, feral cats, feral dogs, so they're a big problem. And then in some cases, even the hawks or um, I believe a certain eagle in the region. So let's see. The new study published in the Zoological Journal of the Linnean Society, named after Carl Linnaeus, who is the founder of the taxonomic tree. So everything from like the kingdom, which like the animal kingdom, all the way down to subspecies. So let's see. Reveals how two species of these threatened betongs possess different adaptations to enjoy one particular tough favorite food of theirs, santalum seeds, which include the sandalwood and Australia's native peach or quandong. Actually, didn't know Australia had native peach plant. First author Madison Randall, Flinders University PhD candidate, says the rabbit sized marsupials are essential to their environment, spending most of their time digging in search of soft foods such as underground fungi, roots, and tubers. So, yes, they are an herbivore. Well, yeah. I mean, I was thinking, okay, somewhat an herbivore, but fungi, you're a fungivore.
Is that true?
Because, yeah, fungi are not plants, they belong to their own kingdom of organisms. So, let's see. I think that's a fungus. Oh, it's a santalum seed. Okay. It's hard to tell for a second. It looks like a giant spore of certain mushrooms. While most betongs typically feed on softer foods, the burrowing betong, Betongia lasur, so Betongia being the genus of this specific macropod, and lasur being the specific species of the betong genus, or booty. Am I
What?
saying that right?
Wait, where's that? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
correct. Weird.
And the brush-tailed betong. This is another species. The Betongia peninsulata or woylie. Oh, right. This specific individual. Woylie tends to be used a lot more, but probably because this specific betong might also be a bit more common or just commonly put out there. Are also known to crack open the tougher outer shells of sandalwood and quandong seeds to obtain the nutritious kernels from inside. These seeds are extraordinarily tough, needing bite forces much higher than typical rabbit sized animals can produce to crack them open. Probably also specific teeth as well. We expected the skulls of these tiny animals to have jaw adaptations that can handle higher bite forces, but we're surprised to find that the two seed cracking species have developed different biting adaptations to solve the same tough shell challenge. The team scanned 161 betong skulls from museums across Australia, including all four living species in the genus, with the eastern Betong Betongia gamardi and the northern Betong Betongia tropica. Using these digital reconstructions of the skull scans, they were able to compare skull shape across the genus using 3D shape analysis. Flinders University professor Vera Weiss-Becker, who co-authored the study, says the jaw adaptations of the two closely related species were not as similar as expected. That actually, well, even though that really shouldn't be surprising to me, I I think I just do because in some instances, when you're looking at the betongs, they can look somewhat similar. But if you're looking at, let's say, big cats, so such as lions, tigers, let's see, who else? Jaguars, they all belong. Yeah, they all belong to the same genus. However, they are distinct species, and yet they have very distinct skull morphologies. So just like the structure of the skull. Um, okay, so flinders, let's see. The booty has a shorter face than the other species. This gives it more leverage, allowing harder biting. But the woylie doesn't have a shorter face. Interesting. It's almost like a shorter faced small kangaroo, you could say to an extent, but the Pleistocene or the Ice Age kangaroos of the Ice Age would like a word. Those guys were very short faced, like the short faced bears over in North and South America back in the Ice Age as well. So well over 60,000 years ago. If you're matching it when the short faced kangaroos were still existing in Australia, considering they went extinct a lot earlier, or say around uh, 40,000 years earlier compared to most species of Ice Age megafauna or Ice Age mammals. Let's see. So instead, specifically the woylie, has a reinforced part of the skull where biting the seeds takes place. Another co author, Dr. Rex Mitchell, adds a difference in snout length, maybe because the woylie, unlike the booty, also relies much more on underground fungi, specifically truffles. Well, this makes sense considering, well, it has a shorter face. I would usually think that might indicate a bit of a stronger bite force, but um fungi for the most part you don't really need too much of a strong bite force to pierce through, a mushroom. Thus they're hmm, okay. I'm also thinking of when it's cooked. So maybe certain species of fungi before they're broken down by heat are actually quite tough. So let's see. Thus, their longer snout might help them sniff these out. Might help sniff these out by providing more surface area inside their noses for their sense of smell. Wait. Oh, I confused the woily with the booty. Okay, because we talked about the woily secondly beforehand. So okay, it is talking about the booty. Um. Wait. No. I'm confusing with which animals. Okay, so we are focusing on the woily. So it had a longer snout. Who am I saying doesn't have? Okay, had a much more narrow. Okay, it has a much more narrow skull structure, and it's the one that mainly feeds on the truffles. That makes sense. Okay. Understanding animal dietary needs and their associated adaptations is invaluable information for conservation of threatened species. All four species of bettong around today are threatened to some degree and have been reduced to a fraction of their range since European settlement. Therefore, information about their dietary needs, limits, and capabilities is vital for conservation and can be used to inform suitable habitat for reintroduction initiatives. Bettong's other superpowers, their major role as ecosystem engineers with their digging and foraging behavior, turning over soils and leaf litter, which improves soils' health, water filtration, seed germination, and ultimately helps ecosystems thrive. Yeah, I just like how they're making this small animal like powerful marsupial. Without him, everything will fail. Um, that's not that wouldn't be true, but it would be very crushing. So keep the batong, all batongs. Despite their struggling numbers, these tiny but mighty marsupials are a powerful reminder that there's more than one way to crack a tough nut. Ah, okay. This is good to see. Batong power. Let's head to the next video. Oh no, not one of these elephants over in probably some part of India or
He's
maybe
just throwing it to him. He's not letting him pull it
Myanmar.
off. He's like,
Oh
"We
wow.
don't want the mess. Just take."
Yeah, the elephants are allowed to come over and take as much as they want. Which is quite nuts. But anyway, that seems to be a healthy female elephant with her calf. He seems to be quite enjoying a bit of snack. I don't know if that's sugarcane or
It looks like it probably is. It's what they seem to go after a lot of the time in these videos.
yeah, which is I believe it's a species of grass.
Look, she's still waiting for more. She looks like she's looking at him.
Yeah,
Is that all?
probably is. That's good to see. Also, I believe it's a wet season, considering it looks like they just got a large amount of rain in the region. Not sure when it occurred. Okay, so heading over to the next article by phys.org. How Europe's largest bat catches and eats birds midair. Okay, let's take a look into this. Whoa. Yeah, he even looks proud. Who specifically is this? The image of the bat with blood and feathers around its mouth. Oh, okay. So that wasn't just a physical characteristic. Because usually bats tend to, in the right lighting, look almost clean, even though considering the conditions that they're in, they're not. Um, in the wild, especially these specific bats that hang out in caves. I think this bat hangs out in caves. So, after nearly 25 years of research, the mystery has finally been solved. Europe's largest bat doesn't just eat small birds; it hunts and captures them more than a kilometer above the ground, and it eats them without landing.
How big is this bat?
I'm not sure. An international team of researchers has shed light on how Europe's largest bat hunts and consumes small birds. Specific species just isn't hitting me. The results, now published in Science, make for fascinating reading, a story of nocturnal aerial acrobatics, pursuit, and predation. Every year, billions of songbirds migrate between their breeding grounds and wintering areas. Many species fly high and travel at night, partly to avoid daytime predators. That doesn't make the journey risk free. Bats hunt at night. When it comes to many species of smaller birds, many tend to think of just specifically hawks, eagles, certain birds of prey being their main predators, especially outside of being on the ground, where certain species of mammals or maybe reptiles might take advantage of them, or maybe certain, depending on how small the bat is, even certain species of amphibians. And then you have it where people might worry about airplanes or jets hitting them, and also problems for the airplanes or jets as well. But the thing is that yes, you do have it where species of flying mammals like bats. I think many people also tend to forget that bats are mammals as well.
Whoa!
Will
What
eat
else flies other than a bat?
glides or flies.
Flies.
Am I forgetting somebody?
Well, you said mammals such as.
Oh well, there's over 1,000 different species of bat around the world. Okay, so let's see. Um, Researchers have virtually hitched a ride on the back of Europe's largest bat species, the greater noctuole, Nyctalis lasiopterus. Interesting. They almost gave it like a pterosaur sort of name structure, which is good to see, and connects you to the Mesozoic, or the era of the dinosaurs. By equipping them with tiny backpacks containing biologgers developed at Ars University. These instruments record the bat's movement. Whoa, that must be extremely lightweight device, considering it's huge on the bat. And I'm guessing it doesn't really affect their hunting strategy, considering that is a very big difference in the coloration. Obviously, he's very well camouflaged. That's not. But maybe it also depends on how the creatures that it coexists with sees as well. Like what kind of colors are they seeing on a daily basis? Let's see. These instruments record the bat's movements, acceleration, altitude, and sounds, including the bat's echolocation calls, revealing their hunting techniques as they pursue prey more than 1 kilometer above the ground in total darkness. He actually kind of looks adorable. Let's see. The new study shows that these bats can fly high into the night sky to locate and attack unsuspecting birds. Unlike certain insects, birds cannot unlike certain insects, birds cannot hear the bat's echolocation calls and may only realize the danger at the very last moment, giving them little chance to escape.
Yeah, that almost threw me too. Unlike certain insects, I'm like, wait, what? They just call a bat an insect
Yeah, that's what it seemed
or a
like.
bird?
The bat's ability to detect birds at such distances is due to their loud and relatively low frequency ultrasound echolocation calls. Once they are close enough to select their target, they attack, signaled by a rapid burst of short echolocation calls. Also, that didn't hit me. There are certain species of insects, especially large relatives of grasshoppers and locusts. And I'm thinking of certain species over in sub Saharan Africa, or certain somewhat savanna ecosystem, still a bit different, but like in the Kalahari Desert, and they come up to different bird nests and feed on their chicks, like after the chicks have already hatched. And the problem is that these insects that I'm thinking of, like somewhat, I think, pinkish and a bit greenish in color, but almost nobody wants to feed on them except maybe other members of their own kind. So yes, they're quite cannibalistic. Not necessarily surprising in the insect world, especially if you're looking at certain praying mantis, and also not referring to spiders because spiders are arachnids, so they're more closely related to horseshoe crabs than they are insects. Um, but yeah, they go into different bird nests and feed on them, and they also excrete a liquid to deter anybody from interfering with them. So, uh, I'm trying to think of any insects that would prey on specifically birds in these areas. Hmm, it's not hitting me. Data from the biologger show that the bats pursued their prey in steep, breakneck speed dives towards the ground, much like fighter aircraft and dogfights. I mean, they are very aerodynamic.
Well, aren't they the fastest in the air?
I'm trying to think.
We just did an article on that.
Is that a bat or a bird?
No, it was a bat.
Oh,
The bat was faster than the birds or
oh,
the
okay.
eagles.
Yeah, that's true. I think it was pushing somewhere around 60 miles an hour.
Thought it was way faster than that.
There's a 60 to
Thought it was 200 kilometers or something. It was something nuts how fast I said that thing was moving.
was it pushing around 100 miles an hour? It's not. I'll have to look back at that. They plunge vertically for 30 and 176 seconds, respectively, beating their wings faster and harder and tripling their acceleration while emitting continuous attack calls. Wow. Um, I just find that quite interesting. The bat that died for 30 seconds eventually gave up. Birds are at least as agile in the air as bats. It's quite an acceleration, too. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Well, there's the bat, and there's the bird. So the bat attack visualized from data from the biologger. The greater nocturnal bat ascends to high altitudes to detect its songbird prey. After a vertically downward sprint of several minutes, the bat finally catches its prey. The audio is sped up and affected by wind noise.
So what
Thus,
it's
the
saying
tune
is
sound is difficult to perceive.
what it's showing is the bat's watching the bird fly up. Is that what we're looking at? And then it goes above it and comes down on it? Or is it saying the bat comes up like this and then goes like that?
Yeah, it's mentioning that it ascends. Well, it says, hmm. I'm
Yeah.
guessing that it's going to be much higher than the bird, and then it picks up where specifically it is.
Well, I was just looking at the line of how it was showing it. Like it goes up and then goes down on it.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. Let's see. Searching, pursuing, prey attacking. But doesn't seem to be much further from the peak of the point of where the bat stops in altitude.
Oh, it's showing. Hold on, let me go back.
You would think that certain or many circumstances of aerial warfare descend from this, but I don't know if we have any types of fighter jets that are named after bats. Just birds of prey.
Yeah, it's showing it dives on top of it, I guess.
Sheesh! Wow, yeah, that is continuous. Not even pursuit. That's just.
I think it's pulling it down.
Oh yeah, that's not hitting me. I'm just thinking of a constant attack, but at a certain. Oh, game over.
Fatality.
And the bat just takes the bird. That's kind of deranged. I'm glad he got some food. The second bat, however, caught its prey close to the ground after nearly 3 minutes of pursuit. The microphone recorded 21 distress calls from the bird, a robin, followed. Oh, okay. It's Oh, oh, it is a robin it's going after. I keep thinking of the American robin though. Followed by 23 minutes of chewing sounds from the bat as it flew at low altitude. Combined with X ray and DNA analyses of songbird wings found under the bat's hunting grounds, the data from just two bats paint a clear picture of the final act. The bats kill the birds by biting them, then bite off their wings, and probably to reduce weight and drag. The researchers believe that the bats then stretch the membrane between their hind legs and forward like a pouch and eat the bird mid-flight. Whoa, these things are like hyenas to an extent.
It it
Worse.
tears the wings off while flying. That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean that is quite in a hunting stance. I guess you could say quite fascinating for this bat, especially mid-flight. But whoa, that's it's just intense. I'm guessing just in all of that I don't know, adrenaline or whatever, it just doesn't exactly hit the bird. I would think that the bird would feel it somewhat, but
I would think so too.
wow. You're really just used to bats going after insects, maybe, there are occasional species of bats that will go after larger mammals or people just really to suck their blood and they will numb you. But this is like, I mean, a whole, it's up with, crocodiles, African painted dogs.
You mean the
It's,
violence that actually takes place here?
yeah, you could say wolves. I mean, wow. Orcas too. I'm not going to leave you guys out. Um, let's see. I mean, you could say even further back in time, maybe different species of um, a wide range of different species of theropod dinosaurs, maybe even certain stronger species of pterosaurs. Anyway, now you could say that when insects and their legs are pulled apart and everybody's like, it's an insect, but this is just quite intense. Let's keep going. We know that songbirds perform wild evasive maneuvers such as loops and spirals to escape predators like hawks during the day. They seem to use the same tactics against bats at night. It's fascinating that bats are not only able to catch them, but to also kill and eat them while flying. A bird like that weighs about half as much as the bat itself. It would be like me catching and eating a 35-kilogram animal, or somewhere around what 75 pounds while
Mid-flight?
jogging.
Not just flight, it's dive bombing with it while it does it.
Says Assistant Professor Laura Stites-Holt from the Department of Biology at Aarhus University. She's one of the study's lead authors and has for several years refined and applied biologger technology in her bat research, leading to numerous scientific papers and surprises. At the time she finalized the data collection and did the analysis for this paper, Stites-Holt was a postdoc at the Leibniz Institute for Zoo and Wildlife Research in Berlin. A miniature biologging backpack that can reveal hunting events of the greater um,
That's
Nile bolt.
not that small, so that bat is big.
Yeah. Hmm. For a couple of decades, it's been known that at least three large bat species feed on small birds in flight. Actually, yeah, I didn't know this. Much of this knowledge stems from the tireless work of Spanish bat researcher Carlos Ibanez and his colleagues at the Doñana Biological Station in Seville, I'm guessing over in Spain. Nearly 25 years ago, Ibanez discovered feathers in the droppings of greater noctules and has since gathered mounting evidence that these bats catch and eat songbirds. The Danyana research team has long studied the greater noctule and a rare and difficult to monitor forest species. They have installed smart artificial roosts in the Danyana Reserve and implanted each bat with a tiny subcutaneous microchip that is detected by an antenna in each roost. The system logs the bat's movements, stores the data, and sends alerts directly to the team's mobile phones. Mobile.
I thought that was funny.
Then you're thinking of mobile as in like how creatures move, and then mobile
I
phone.
just thought you were pronouncing it like you were from, the UK.
Oh, oh. For years, the researchers tried to uncover exactly how the bats managed to catch and eat birds in flight. We knew that the greater noctule catches and eats insects in flight, so we assumed it did the same with birds, but we needed to prove it. The hypothesis was initially met with skepticism within the scientific community, since some birds weigh up to half the weight of the bat itself and thus might reduce the bat's ability to fly. Because bats hunt at night, it is impossible to film the chase. Researchers instead tried surveillance cameras on roosts, military radar, ultrasound recorders attached to hot air balloons, and GPS trackers. The main challenge was finding equipment light enough for the bats to carry. Now, with the lightweight devices from RS University, and just as Ibanez approaches retirement, the team has finally caught a greater noctule in the act. For Elena Tenna, also a lead author of the study, hearing the sound recording of the bird's distress calls, oh gosh, followed by sudden silence
Which means the birds are screaming.
as you're being torn open, and long chewing noises was an intense moment after so many years of effort. While it evokes empathy for the prey, it is part of nature. We knew we had documented something extraordinary. For the team, it confirmed what we had been seeking for so long. I had to listen to it several times to fully grasp what we had recorded. Um,
This is
I have to say, it's almost like,
a horror movie?
well, I think some just, or you have to evolve somewhat immunity to it. Like, oh, yeah, it's just the bird tearing open it's just the bat tearing open the bird. Okay, it's getting food. It's good to hear. Not, no, there's no shock from this. Let's see. Fortunately, there's little cause for concern about bats threatening songbird populations. That's funny.
Not the population, just the poor bird at the time.
Yeah. It's like African painted dogs ripping open an impala, or orcas ripping open a smaller whale or a shark. Let's see. The greater noctule is extremely rare and in many areas endangered as its forest habitats disappear. I had a feeling this was going to occur. The bat, it's just voracious in the way it attacks its prey, and don't you dare interfere with it because it's extremely rare. Let it do its thing, which I mean I agree with anyway, but I just find it um quite amusing in how it adds to the story and how it adds to the study. Let's see. So, thus, this discovery has important conservation implications. Understanding the greater noctule's ecology and hunting behavior is essential for designing effective conservation management strategies. I think what's amazing about this is able to do it mid-flight. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, it doesn't have to, board like some sort of, it
It
does.
doesn't land.
Yeah, it's just feeds on it. It's like how long and how quick is this occurring? Let's see. That's it. Okay, let's take a look at the next video.
You sounded so depressed with that.
Well, here's another hunting story. I had a feeling this was going to occur. So we got a capybara somewhere in what, the Pantanal. I got a jaguar. Where's he going? No, you had to dive into the water. I bet if he didn't get slowed down by that little area of water, he
He can't find him. He's
would have
like,
got it.
where'd he go?" Uh,
It is amazing considering how lazy capybaras can act, and they're actually quite quick.
he's like, "I'm getting my butt in. I'm going under. What? My breakfast disappeared."
Maybe the other guy was right. Maybe I should just stick to Cayman since they're the
I think that's a good video, though.
yeah, crocodilians that jaguars will feed on certain species. Wow. Okay. So from atlasobscura.com, a 6 foot, 220-pound penguin once lived in New Zealand. There have been a wide range of different species of penguins from the Pleistocene and Pliocene epochs, much larger than today's emperor penguin, which reaches. There are certain instances where emperor penguins can reach over or around 4 foot 11 or about 1.6, 1.7 meters in height and weigh around 100 pounds or possibly slightly heavier. We're pushing up to 45 kilograms. Interesting. It's like we left a study that was describing like the horror and the on its side, the unfortunate events, what happens when it's consumed. And so, in revenge, the penguins have come to the rescue. Prehistoric penguins. That is, if they're not eaten by orcas at this time either. They did exist at this point. If this is back in the Pleistocene, no, they might have also been back in the Pliocene, it's possible, or at least their ancestors when they diverged from other species of whale or large dolphin. So this is definitely a larger species of penguin and it has a very elongated beak, which you could say to an extent is not necessarily surprising, especially if you're looking at the king penguin, which is the second largest penguin on Earth and inhabits areas north of the Antarctic mainland, about half the size of the emperor penguin as well. So, um, when people think of penguins, their minds usually drift all the way down to the South Pole. Yeah, it's very true. You have it where there's different species of penguin over in South America, on the coasts, New Zealand, Southern Australia, South Africa, Namibia, which is just northwest of South Africa, and also different islands around the just north of the Antarctic Ocean as well, and in the Antarctic Ocean. Just many tend to think of specifically the Antarctic mainland. So, but there's a sphenecid hotspot to be found on the way there. 13 of the world's 18 penguin species have been recorded around New Zealand and its waters. 9 breed there. 3 have made it their permanent home. None of these penguins, however, even approach the size of their recently discovered ancestor, Kumemanu Bikai, whose fossil was found a few years at Hampton Beach in the South Island's Otago region. Sheesh. It's quite a heavy penguin. 220 pounds or somewhere around 100, 110 kilograms. So K. Baikai wasn't just a whopper of a penguin. I immediately thought of a hamburger. It was likely the largest one that ever lived. Its fossil has been dated to the late Paleocene epoch, sometime between 55.5 and 59.5 million years ago. Yeah, that is the late Paleocene. So this is could be as much as 10 million years or 11 million years after the dinosaurs went extinct. Standing nearly 6 feet tall, or around 1.8, 1.9 meters, and weighing around 220 pounds, around 105 kilograms, it was around 33 times the size of the little blue penguin. Oh, yeah, sure. Compare it with the penguin that weighs, in some cases, 3 pounds, a little more than a kilogram. Uh, it's strikingly cute descendant. Even the world's largest living penguin, the majestic emperor penguin, would have been dwarfed by this colossal bird. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a better comparison. Many millions of years ago, the seas were full of large predatory marine reptiles. Yeah, back in the Mesozoic era, over 66 million years ago. Now, You could have still had it where, in relative size to the penguin, you would have had different species of crocodilomorphs that would have inhabited maybe certain coastal areas. But by this point, not including if wait, oh, we're talking about the Paleocene. Yeah, maybe certain crocodilomorphs in certain coastal areas. I was thinking like much forward in time, like the Pliocene, so maybe 5 million years ago, or the Pleistocene, so possibly 2 million years ago. But it's much earlier in time. So when they died out in the early years of the period, sometimes referred to as the age of mammals, a number of giant penguins evolved to take their place. This seems to have happened shortly after the birds became flightless divers, meaning K. baikai once went whizzing through the waters of the South Pacific, gobbling fish after fish as it went. So why don't we find mind-bogglingly large penguins waddling up and down the beaches of New Zealand today? The answer is in the water. Researchers say around 33 million years ago, large marine mammals like tusked dolphins, whales, and seals, all of which had a hefty appetite for seafood, began to populate the world's oceans. And also the penguins would have to deal with them as well, considering any areas where you have different species of sea lions, especially South American sea lions, inhabiting the coasts, oh, well, coexisting with penguins as well, they will feed on the penguins. Let's see. The began wait faced with the competition, penguin species got smaller or died out altogether. I don't think that the dolphins, whales, and seals would have had a direct impact or a major impact on the size difference of different penguin species as they evolved, and all of a sudden made them smaller, maybe some cases fatter. But that's also referring to more. I don't know. I think most species of penguin today look somewhat fat. But, I would think it would be more of just, like, maybe certain climatic shifts, maybe different types of fish that were evolving, or maybe also, um, moving into a certain krill-like lifestyle, or focusing mostly on krill, which is a major component for different species of penguins today, especially, the species of penguin mainly inhabiting the Antarctic Ocean, so especially Gen 2 penguins, Adelie penguins, emperor and king penguins.
They all focus on krill?
It's a large part of their diet. So over at least half of their diet can consist of Antarctic krill. And then you will have it where different species of fish will fall into it. I don't believe they're feeding on anything else. Maybe certain other crustaceans. I'm just not thinking of. Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. Well, it's good to see. It was also a bit of an older article too. Let's see. So, what is going on here? Hyena escaped the scythe of death, but the terror of that moment. Okay, so we've got a hyena lion conflict. Let's see how this occurred. Oh, he was definitely bit. Oh, I think I might have seen this recently. Yeah, the clan all of a sudden showed up to help out.
How many can a male lion deal with?
He basically, especially if it's a more mature individual, just walks into a clan of 40 hyenas and,
Starts cracking their necks?
well, in that instance, well, it can, but um, if also if there's like somewhere around that number, maybe 30, maybe even 30 individuals, they might all be on one side of the carcass. Let's say there is a carcass and he's on the other, but they really don't touch him. But usually, it just takes a single individual, especially if there's two, it's not even a question. And the hyenas tend to disperse or at least wait at a distance.
But if a clan, gets around 2 or 3 females, the male has to come in and save them.
Two or three. Oh yeah, definitely. Or it has to be an immense amount of females to come in and push them away, which has occurred. But usually, yeah, if a male pops up, then they tend to disperse.
That's just strange to me because the females are the hunters.
Males will go out and hunt too. Actually, there's quite a few instances where males are hunting the prey with the lionesses, or they just decide to hunt one themselves.
But
Um,
that's not what I mean. I mean, they're that capable, yet especially the spotted hyenas, they seem to have a problem with them.
Well, also, hyenas, they're extremely robust when it comes to just their overall, muscle morphology or their muscle structure, and even like their just skeletal structure as well. And they have a much more powerful bite force compared to the lions, but just the overall strength of the male, and it just dominates the any hyena in the area.
But I meant,
So
but how does it
now I should take a bit of a deeper look into just how much more pressure the lion can inflict, and like especially when it comes to the paws, since hyenas.
but that's not what I mean. They it can literally walk into a clan of hyenas by itself, and they don't wanna fight.
Well, lions also have the okay. Well, I think what you're just getting at is just how does it have that sheer confidence, and they immediately get driven away. Um, I think it's a mixture of just sheer brute force, especially when it comes to swipe of their paws, since lions do have, when it comes to that specific swipe, the most powerful, I think, type of, SWAT compared to any other mammal, at least compared to its body size on land. It's not that animals like bears don't necessarily have that ability, but they don't really use it.
No, no, I'm referring to, like, you showed me a video a while back where the lion literally walked into a group and just grabbed 2 of them and broke their necks.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I think that's another thing. Hyenas can't grapple; they completely rely on their teeth.
But I meant, why is it that 3 females couldn't fight, but the one male walks in and it's over?
Yeah, I think it has to be something to do with maybe also, I think a mixture of Biforce muscle structure, maybe just the sheer, maybe there's a certain scent of also the hormones that the male's giving off that just repel the hyenas. So I'm gonna have to do a little more in depth of just research into what's specifically going on there because that isn't explained. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So from azanimals.com, icebreakers, the salamanders that trek across snow to find love.
That just sounded funny, that's why I picked that.
So Jefferson salamanders must traverse active snow and frozen leaf litter to achieve their late winter migration. With a narrow travel window, these amphibians risk freezing or harming themselves during their journey. So, these amphibians ultimately ensure their offspring's survival by breeding early in temporary pools, which often still have surface ice and lack fish predators. I wonder also where specifically Jefferson salamander is. I think it's in North America. The metamorphosis cycle is lengthy and may not be completed in time, as the vernal pool may dry up before their young are fully grown. Most amphibians wait for the warmth of springtime before they become active, but Jefferson salamanders run on a different internal clock. In late February or early March, they often emerge, a time of year when snow is still on the ground and the forest floor is only partly thawed. This is largely because the entire breeding strategy of the Jefferson salamander depends on being early no matter the cost. So there's a major reason why Jefferson salamanders risk it all, and during a time of year that proves dangerous to all salamander species. Why do these amphibians traverse vast and snowy distances to reach their desired pools? There's one reason in particular that tends to stand out: love, or at the very least, the option to breed and continue its species. This is everything you need to know about the Jefferson salamander, including where they reside, when they breed, what triggers their migration during an opportune time of the year, inopportune time of the year, and their motivations behind it. Let's dive into okay. Let's see. Classified as Ambystoma jeffersonianum is a mole salamander, which means it spends most of its life underground in forests, only becoming obvious during its breeding migration. It is oh yeah. Many also tend to not associate animals or different types of animals such as amphibians and reptiles with migrations. And many species of amphibians and reptiles technically do migrate, especially to breed, but it just might be somewhere between half a mile to 2 miles in some instances. But for something like a salamander or a frog, that's quite a long way. So, we're talking a few kilometers. So let's see. It is native to multiple northeastern states, with the range extends into Canada. So I'm guessing like areas over in Ontario or Quebec. So just northeast or north of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Michigan. While no stranger to the cold, the Jefferson salamander can handle so much of it. There he is. He's a good looking salamander. Seems pretty healthy. So this is especially true when you consider the fact that this animal is not a pond salamander year round. It is an underground forest salamander that briefly becomes a wetland breeding salamander when the timing is right to making their migration a potentially dangerous activity. Jefferson salamanders migrate when weather cues line up, but this doesn't necessarily mean their journey will be safe and uneventful. State and field program guidance about the Jefferson salamander is consistent about the conditions necessary for this migration. A warmer night than average and steady rain instead of snow, leading to ground conditions that are just starting to soften. Ambient air temperatures above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, I think around
Don't even
15,
try
15 to
that.
20 degrees Celsius
Hold on, I'll find out.
for several hours are also an indicator of their migratory potential, depending on the location.
It's 4.44 degrees Celsius.
Four? Oh,
4.44.
okay. I was pretty far off. Hey, here's another one.
He's multicolored.
Is? I guess like maybe
Mhm.
bluish.
No, I'm right here. Look, he goes from shiny to not so shiny.
Oh, it might just be, a bit of a shadow, and yeah, it's true.
No, even his feet.
Yeah, I guess it's darker in one area and lighter in the other. Is interesting. It's almost like certain I don't know what type of synthetic toys those are, but I'm thinking of certain salamander toys. Given that salamanders breathe partly through their skin, dry winter air can be dangerous during overland travel. That's why wet nights reduce their overall dehydration risk and make it much easier to move through leaf litter and thawing soil. A vernal pool is a temporary woodland and wetland that fills with snowmelt and spring rain, often drying out later in the year. The temporary nature of vernal pools actually works in the Jefferson salamander's favor, as it makes for an easier breeding time without predators. Given their seasonal availability, many vernal pools do not support fish populations. That's why these wetlands are described as essential breeding habitat in vernal pool conservation work. More salamanders rely on them. Oh, yeah, one of these. These are good to see. So, there's also another benefit that's much less obvious time. Early breeding gives the larvae a longer window of time to hatch and grow before the pool shrinks. If a pool dries up too soon, larvae can die before achieving a full metamorphosis. And that risk is exactly what Jefferson salamanders face year after year. Timing is truly everything. Okay, well, so there are many benefits and risks involved in breeding so early, long before other salamander species are even contemplating such a thing. Interesting. It's almost like they have a higher IQ. For example, getting eggs into cold, full pools early can reduce multiple types of predation pressures and can also increase the chance that at least some larvae reach metamorphosis before the pool dries. However, such early movement also carries a clear risk involving shifting seasonal weather. Jefferson salamanders are not usually described as freeze tolerant in the same way that wood frogs are. So their safety depends. Oh, this might have been the amphibian. I might have confused like its cold tolerance with, because I swear there's another salamander, unless this is him, that does somewhat okay in the cool weather. But
You
yeah,
mean
but
cold
wood.
weather?
Well, it's mentioning around 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 4.4 degrees Celsius. So I mean, in many instances, that can be referred to as cool, especially if you've been in 20 degrees Fahrenheit for some time or just below 0
Yeah, but
degrees
did it say he goes through the snow?
Celsius. Yeah, I think somewhat. Hmm. Well, yeah, wood frogs are a little more cold tolerant than these salamanders. So their safety depends more on avoiding exposure to such frigid conditions. Sticking to rainy nights and keeping migration windows tight helps, but deep freezes can easily follow warm rains. Yeah, it is interesting how that occurs. Okay, let's see. Oh, there he is. That's a salamander? Looks like a lizard. Huh.
Wait, salamanders aren't lizards?
No, they're amphibians.
Oh,
Lizards are reptiles. But that looks like a lizard. Somebody mix a picture up. Hmm.
what's it say under the picture?
Says, it just mentions if the Jefferson salamander rests while on their way to their breeding ground, they risk losing the time needed for their young to mature. So, because of this risky window, Jefferson salamanders tend to arrive at ponds in late winter or early spring in upland forests. But breeding movements are finely tuned to local conditions rather than fixed set dates. If conditions happen to turn mid migration, these salamanders may take shelter or pause their journey. While this may keep them alive, waiting out a storm may also make the difference between a full, healthy metamorphosis for their young. Once Jefferson salamanders can reach the safety of a vernal pool, breeding happens quickly. Even if ice remains in their chosen breeding ground, these salamanders don't have the luxury of time. Females attach egg masses to sticks or vegetation under the surface of the water after gathering deposits left by males. And the Jefferson salamander enjoys breeding window without very much competition. Hmm, that is interesting. Jefferson salamanders struggle if there are unforeseen changes along their set, predetermined route back to their vernal pool. For example, intact upland forest, which is where they live most of the year, and functioning seasonal pools where they breed need to exist for them to live. While it sounds simple enough, there are many potential issues standing in their way. For example, if a vernal pool is protected but the surrounding forest is fragmented or altered, adult salamanders may not survive the journey or be healthy enough to breed. On the flip side, if the forest is intact but the pool is altered, the entire Jefferson salamander breeding event collapses. Hey, look at these guys.
Yeah, they don't look like the same thing.
Um, yeah, I guess different coloration. The other one was a bit shinier on top.
No, I meant the one on the rock.
Oh, right, that guy. Yeah, he looked very lizard-like. Roads are also a major problem as migrations often concentrate on a select few rainy nights, which means that a great number of Jefferson salamanders attempt their crossings at the same time. That's why so many regions actually have salamander crossing volunteer programs and temporary protections focused heavily on avoiding road mortalities for these little amphibians. Well, I'm glad for those of you that help the salamanders trek across the vast wilderness, which is true, especially for them.
So they put up salamander crossing signs.
That's what I was guessing.
How do you see them when you're
I'm
going
just
down the
looking to see if
road?
there's anything else. Um, whoa, forget how long they are. I think that's it. Okay. Uh, let's see. Oh, all right. Okay. So thanks for joining, but we will be back at 6 p.m. today. So we'll see you soon. Remember that nothing is better